Welcome back. Let's finally learn about ES6 modules. JavaScript needed a way to support modules because it's now a serious language. It's not just for the browser. You can use JavaScript anywhere, on the server, on mobile, on desktop, on IoT devices. And as applications grow larger and larger, as we've learned, we need modules. And luckily, we don't have to worry about CommonJS, AMD, or UMD anymore. I mean, you'll still see CommonJS in Node programs, but we're going to have native ES6 modules in Node.js soon as well. So how is this going to look? Just like this. We have a native keyword now called import that imports a module from whatever file we want. And another module from another JavaScript file that we want. And anytime we want to export something, well, we do export and whatever we want to export. How nice and simple is that? Let's turn our code that was originally just a simple module pattern into using ES6 modules. Well, all we're going to do is copy our fight function. And this fight function, well, we don't need jump function. It's not doing anything. Or let's keep it there just for fun. I'm going to copy the fight function. And we're in ES6 land now, so let's just change this to const. It won't do anything for now, but it just looks nicer. And I also want Harry and Voldemort variables to come with me, so I'm going to grab those and put them up here. We'll change these to constants as well. Again, that doesn't really affect imports or export. It's just we're in modern JavaScript land now, so might as well use the modern features. Now, here's the thing. All we need to do to export this and make this available is to, well, first of all, let's remove the imports because we're not importing anything in here. All I need to do to say, hey, I want you to export a function or a variable from this file is to add the export keyword. So that if I do export function fight, I'm going to have access to it. And everything that I don't export, like Harry and Voldemort, or maybe I don't want to export jump because this is a private function, well, then nobody else is going to get access to it except for whoever is working on this file. So let's remove our module pattern and see how this works in the browser. I'm going to go down here. Let's minimize our scripts that we aren't using. And now with our last script, I'm going to add a new file, or we can just do it here. We're going to import the fight function from the, well, what should we import it from? We import it from script file right over here. And this is called a named export. I can do as many exports as I want. If I wanted to export jump, for example, I can just say export here, and I can import it just like that. But you need these curly brackets. Another way to export it is to actually do something called a default export. And a default export is, well, you just add a default in here, export default function, and now this is the default function or default item that gets imported. So you don't need the brackets anymore because it should only be one. All right, so we imported this. And just to see that we have this working, I'm going to say in here, fight, and then we'll fight Ron against Hedwig. Now let's see if this actually works. I'm going to save this and refresh, and I get an error. Unexpected identifier, export. It doesn't recognize our import and export statements, but why? I mean, I thought you told me that ES6 modules are available, right? Well, yes, there are, but there's one other trick. Well, actually two other tricks to make this work. One is that you now have to define this script as a type module. And again, this is a new feature where you have to tell it, hey, what we're doing here, this is a module. It's not a regular script like we've had in the past. This is a ES6 module. And same thing here, anytime we use import and export, we have to tell it, hey, this is a module. So now if I save this and refresh, it looks like I'm still getting an error. Now, because it's not just a regular script that the browser reads, it's a module, we actually need to serve it from a server. So I'm going to use a tool called Live Server. And you can do this with any type of HTTP server. This is the one that I like. And all you do is say Live Server from the project that you're working with. And as long as you have an index.html file, it'll open it for you. All right, so we have our browser, but I see that, I failed to resolve module specifier. I have to tell it where the script file is. So it's script.js that we're looking for. If I save this and go back, hey, look at that, Hedwig wins. We're able to use the fight function and export it from one module to another. If I keep refreshing here, every once in a while, hopefully Ron wins as well. There you go. Ron is not very good at this because, well, he's only got 3 letters, but every once in a while, Ron wins as well. Awesome. And there you have it. How much simpler was that? Instead of worrying about IFEs, module patterns, CommonJS and AMD, and making sure that things worked across the browser and things worked as a third package on NPM, we now have simple import and export statements that we can use. By the way, if, for example, we had something like this, where we had export function and an export default function, well, we can simply import it this way, where we have fight, and then because the other one is not a default export, we just do jump like this. So that if we console.log jump, and jump's not doing anything right now, so let's just console log jump here and save both of these and go back to our file. And look at that, Hedwig wins and jump is working. But because we're now using modules, well, I can't really use it in here. If I do jump, nope. That's a different module. You have to explicitly tell me that you're importing something if you want to use it. So now we're not polluting that global namespace. If I go to window, I'm not going to see jump or fight or anything like that on there. How awesome is that? Now, import and export makes things really, really easy. And I'll link to ways that you can import different functionality from other modules. But like you see over here, there's just a few ways of doing it differently that you can learn on your own. It's not very difficult. The idea behind it is to keep everything simple. So let's finish off this section with our conclusion, what we have now with modules.